Today's daf is daf Chaf Gimel, and we'll review the brisa as a segue to daf Chaf Gimel on Chaf Beis Amud Beis. The brisa records a distinction between trey in the case of Nisuin as opposed to trey in the case of Gerushin. In trey in the case of Nisuin, Shnaimom Niskacha, Shnaimom Lo Niskacha, then if she went ahead and took the law into her hands and she got married, lo teitze. Whereas in contrast, if it's shnayim omer niskasha, shnayim omer lo niskasha, even if she went ahead and got married, teitze. And the Gemara asks now the following on the top of Chav Gimel: Maishna Reisha u Maishna Sefer. Tosfos Tibra Maschel Mai is very upset about the Gemara's kasha because there's a fundamental distinction here. We always go back to a chazaka in the case of trey. In the case of a pnuya, if we have trey as to whether she got married or not, we cancel and neutralize the two pairs of aid. We go back to the original chazaka, which has a cheskes pnuya. Hence, im niseis lo teitze. In the case of Gerushin, she had a cheskes eishesish. Now you have trey. Go back to the original chazaka, and she's an eishesish. Why didn't the Torah give this answer? Why didn't the Gemara give this answer? And Tosfos answers because of something called trey sveka derabanan, which means that in a trey situation, we completely neutralize the chazaka. Chazaka doesn't play a role at all. Amar Abai, Tirgama b'eid echad. The Bryce is talking about a case of akhacha of one aid against another aid. It's not two kitos each made up of two aidim, but rather one aid contradicts the other aid. And now we begin to put this into the Bryce. Aid echad omer nitzkacha, aid echad omer no nitzkacha, travaya b'pnuya komisadik. Both agree that we're talking about a woman who is a pnuya. The question is, did she receive kiddushin or not? Bahai de nitzkacha, since there's only one witness who testifies that she received kesef kiddushin, havi lechad, that's one aid. The ein dvar shel echad b'makom shnayim. Both agree that she was a pnuya. Now one aid echad says, no, she's not a pnuya, she received kiddushin. Well, that's aid echad against shnayim. But in the case of the sefer, aid echad omer niskarsha, aid echad omer lo niskarsha, travayu be'eshes ishka masadi. It's not like the previous case where travayu be'pnuya masadi, which reaches muteres, but rather travayu be'eshes ishka masadi. They both agree that she's an eshes ish, and therefore she's asura akuli alma. V'hai de kamen is garsha. Now the one who says no, she's no longer an eshes ish. She received the get. Havi lechad. He's one aid. V'ein tor shel echad b'makom shnayim. Now Rav Ashi wants to come and explain the brisa with a different approach. Liolam Rav Ashi, liolam trey. As we understood it, there's two eidim against two eidim. It's not a case of eid echad against eid echad, as Abai said. But v'yepoch, we're going to change the girsa and the brisa between the reisha and the sefer. In the reisha, where it's a case of safek nitzkacha teitze, and in the sefer, where it's safek nitzgasha lo teitze, and that's counterintuitive. So Gemara explains: Shnayim omrim re'inu asheniskacha, u'shnayim omrim lo re'inu asheniskacha. In other words, we, the second Adam, say we did not see that she received kiddushin, and we assume that if we didn't see kiddushin, that kiddushin never took place. But we have Adam that say that we saw the kiddushin. The other pair of Adam can't contradict them. They didn't see the kiddushin, but they don't know that there was kiddushin. They don't know there wasn't kiddushin. But we have two Adam that know that there was kiddushin. That's not trey. So Gemara says pshita. I mean, for that I need the brisa to mechadesh that she has the din of teitze because she's an eshes. I mean, that's a classic case. Every single case of a woman who was established to be an eshes, two witnesses testified that we saw her receive kiddushin. That's what they did Kedushin over there for. So now you're going to tell me, oh, if she went ahead and got married to somebody else, well, Tate said we're going to bust up the marriage, I mean, it couldn't be otherwise. So Pshita. The Gemara answers, oh, we're not up to the Gemara's answer yet because the Gemara first strengthens the Kasha. Laura Inuay Naraya. If the Adam say we didn't see Kedushin, that doesn't prove that there was no Kedushin. The Gemara answers, Lo Tzricha, the diary Bechotzer Echad. The Adam who testify that we didn't see Kedushin, they live in the same Chotzer. They are next door neighbors of this woman. And the Chiddush is that we're not going to accept the words or the testimony of the Eidim HaMachishim. And Mao the Tema would have thought him Isa Niskacha Kola Isla Milsa. How could we be living in that Chotzer? She received Kedushin, and we don't know about it? There should have been at least a rumor going around that there was Kedushin. The Avdi in Shida Makacha B'tzina. And the Gemara says, Kamash Folon, the Chiddush here, this price is a Gavaldige Chiddush. That we're not going to accept the Eidim that testify that we didn't hear and we didn't know about the Kedushin, we didn't see the Kedushin, because you know what? People get married B'tzina. They don't necessarily make it into a public affair that everybody has to know about it. So you didn't see the Kedushin, that doesn't prove a thing. Now we get to the Sefer. 2 Eidim testify that she got a get, and 2 Eidim say that she did not get a get. And this is lo teitze. Shnayim omer inu shenis garsha, Shnayim omer inu shenis garsha. Arezu lo tinose. But if this is lo teitze, I mean, after all, we have 2 Eidim that testify that she was nisgarsha. Once again, my kavash. This is exactly the case of every single grusha on the face of the earth. 2 Eidim testify that they saw the gerushin. So these 2 shlubs over here tell me, well, we didn't see the gerushin. Go fly a kite. So the Gemara answers, Afal gav the diary b'chotzer echad. They live in the same courtyard as this woman, and it's impossible that she had to get to. They didn't know about it. Where's the coal? But you know what? Maybe he gave her a get silently, quietly. So Gemara is Hainu Hach. The Mishnah is now repeating what it said before. It's only in the case of Kedushin when it's commonplace to do the Kedushin B'tzina. Because sometimes a man marries a woman and she's not Hogenislo. She's much younger than him, much older than him. Maybe he's a Kohen, he shouldn't be married. So people have a tendency of getting married B'tzina. I remember my father's best friend from childhood got married in our backyard in Flatbush in Brooklyn. Tzina. So therefore, the fact that the 2 Eidim didn't hear about the Kedushin, that doesn't prove anything because it's quite common to get married B'tzina. So when the Eidim testify, Laura, he knew we didn't hear anything or knew anything, see anything about Kedusha, it doesn't prove it. However, Aval Gabi Gerushin, in Isa the Gasha Kola Isla Milsa. There's a call for Gerushin. And I was thinking, why is there a call for Gerushin? First of all, because she can't marry a Kohen. So we really have to publicize it and make sure that a Kohen would not marry this woman. She's a grusha. But in any event, one thing is crystal clear. The Eidim are testifying, if, like you tell me, there was a Gerushin, how come we live in the same Chatzeh and we didn't hear about it? Where's the call? Ashmalon, the Afidi and even Gerushin is somewhat embarrassing. Imagine the case of a man who lived with his wife for 35 years. Now he divorces her. It's a little embarrassing. And therefore he does it b'tzina. So that's the chiddush of the Brisa, that these two Edom would say, we lived next door to this woman and we didn't hear a thing about her gerushin, and that's proof positive that there was no gerushin. The answer is no. This was a case where he's megarish of Bitsina, and that's why you don't know anything about it. And therefore, Laura Inuhush and his garsha is worthless. Let's go back to our Mishnah. In this Mishnah, this says Bo Edom Lo Teitz. If she got married based on the testimony of two Edom, we're not going to upset the marriage when later on two Edom come in and uproot that marriage. We can't do that. So therefore, lo teitz. Now there are two things that are missing here in the Mishnah. Two gaps that have to be filled. First of all, how does this part of the Mishnah, we'll call it the Sefer of the Mishnah, relate to the first part of the Mishnah, the ratio where it says Isha Shamra, Eishes Isha Yisi, Ugrusha Nina Menes. Pesha also Pesha Hitit. Avim Yech Edim Chahoiseiches Ish. Vehi Omeres Grushani Eina Menes. And the Tana says in this case, Beheter Lifnei Shebo Edim. She got married based on the first testimony, and she's allowed to get married. That's called Niseis Beheter. Now the Edom testify, no, that marriage is invalid because she's an HSH, lo teitze. Now again, she was believed because of a Pesha Asa, Pesha Hita, but now if the Edom come by and testify that she's an HSH, she loses forfeits her Pesha Asa, Pesha Hita. Now we have another sort of ambiguity here. It says, Amra nishbesi utahora nine emes. Shapesh asa peshit. She can marry a Kohen. The Yesh Edim Chinishbes. She's not believed. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. And oh, we got it. Yay. We got it. Okay. So the first point that has to be clarified is the ratio and its relationship to the Sefer. As we said before, let's just quickly review it. If she says Eishes Isha Yisa Grusha, she has a Pesha Hitir, but if there are Edom that testify that she's an Eishes Ish, and she says Grushani, she's not believed. However, if she went ahead and got married before the Adam came in to testify that she was an HSE, so she got married because she was believed based on a Peshas or Peshahita that she got a divorce, rotates. Is that correct? I mean, now the Adam come in. She no longer has a Peshas or Peshahita. And when the Mishnah says Omer Nishbesi Tahorani, she's believed to marry a Kohen, Peshas or Peshahita. But if there are Adam that Nishbes, and she says Tahorani, she's not believed. And now the Tana is saying that if she married a Kohen Beheter before the Adam came in to testify Nishbes, then Lo Teitze. Again, this is a Pella because after the Adam come in, she doesn't have a Peshas or Peshita. So you allowed her to remain in this marriage based on Peshas or Peshita. There is no Peshas or Peshita. Right now we have Adam. And the Adam testified that she's an HSE, or that she's a Shruya. So what does it mean when it says V'niseis bo Adam? V'sheniseis bo Adam lo teitze? Rav Oshia Masli Reish. We were talking about the case of the Reisha Isha Yisi Guchani. She went ahead and she got married behet. Now Adam come in and testify that she's an HSH. They pull the rug out from under her feet. She no longer has a pechas. Rotates. She doesn't have to get divorced from her second husband. And that means that even if the Adam come later, after she got married, and they testify that she was an Ashes Ish, rotates. He got it under the wire. Rav Barov Masnia Sefer. Now we get to the case of Nishbesi Tahorani. She went ahead and she got married to Cohen. And we're going to say that since she was married Beheter, afterwards, when Adam come and testify that she was Nishbes, what's going to be the din? I mean, now we have a real serious chashash that she was Nivel Alakum. Nivel Alakum is Posel Lebas Yisrael. She went ahead and got married. And now the Adam come in and testify she was a Shruya. She's a Surah Cohen. We're going to say no. Pesha also Pesha. Even though we now have Adam to testify Nishbet, she no longer has a Pesha also Pesha. If we're going to be Machmir in general, with regard to an Ashes each, in comparison to a Shruya, and yet we're saying Lo Teitze, how much more so in the case of Shvuya, which is relatively a lightweight kind of Avera, and she went ahead and got married to Heter, and then the Adam came in later, obviously we're not going to be Motzi Omitachas Pilot. So that's the Kal V'chomer if you hold Man D'Masli Law Arish. Now we go to Man D'Masli Law Seifa. She claims Nishpesi Utahorani, and she gets married to a Kohen. Then two Adam come in and they testify Shenishbes. And we say, Lo Teitze Mi Baila HaKohen. So it means that in the case of Shvuya, which is only a D'Rabbanan, the entire Yitzhak Shvuya the Kohen is D'Rabbanan. And the Tana says in this case, Lo Teitze. So that's called a safe. So within the context of Shvuya, Shvuyani, Shvuya Hayisi, I should say. Utahorani. That's the Sefer. And the whole Easter here is the Rabbanon. Is therefore in this case Lo Teitze. Aval Aresha, a woman who says Eishasi Shayisi, then is Garashti, then Eishasi Sasurim in Torah. Lo, we're not going to say, well, she got married and then the Adam came and Lo Teitze. We have Adam. Adam are testifying that she's an HSH. Certainly Teitze. This is a Suffolk Isa Torah of the first degree. Not similar to Shvuya. Shvuya is only the Rabbana. So the Gemara asks, Lema b'Rav Hamnuna kamif. This machlokes between Rabbi Oshia and Rabba bar Rav Ovin is not new. It's an old machlokes between Rav Hamnuna and Rav Oshia. Okay. So now let's talk about Rav Hamnuna. Rav Hamnuna said that Isha Shomer L'Bayla Girashtani Nemenes Chazaka Ein Isha Me'iza Paneh B'fnei Bayla. So according to Rav Huna, a woman who says to her husband, "You divorced me," is believed because she would not have the chutzpah to say that to her husband, Nu Yaniv and Iskarash. This is an amazing halacha. The Torah says, "Ein davar shebe'er pachas mishnayim." You need two witnesses to testify on a get and be matur and eishasish. And what happened here? One single aid testifies now forget about one single aid. We're talking about the Isha herself. She's not even an aid. She's a balas dava. and we're going to establish that she's a grusha. Well, in front of her husband, she wouldn't have the chutzpah, and therefore we believe it. Okay, so what's the machlokes now between Rabbi Oshia and Rabbi Barov? Man the Masila Recha Rav Oshia said that you can interpret the words of the Tana even on the Reisha in the Gerushin case. And a woman is believed to say Nisgarashti. If Adam came and testified that she was an Ashes Ish, even though she has no Peshasa Peshahit there, she's believed. Islay the Rav Hamnun. So if Rav Oshia on the Reisha is telling me that she's believed to say Nisgarashti, even though later on Adam come and testify that she was an Ashes Ish, right now she has a Peshasa Peshahit there, and she's believed. Islay to Rav Hamnuna. He accepted Rav Hamnuna. And that means that a woman has nemanus to establish a get simply because she says it in front of her husband. He has a long footnote here, whether it's Bifnei Baila or it's Bifnei Bezdin. And all of this is because it's bifana, because she wouldn't be made fun. But if she's out there somewhere in Yehupitzville and she says Niskarashti, she's not fooled. Man demasli asefa, according to Rabbi Barov, the Tana is referring to Shvuya, nothing to do with a suffix Hasish Gruch. She's not believed to say Nisgarashti when Adam come afterwards and testify that she was an Ashes Ish. Less later of him. He rejects the principle established by Hamnuna that a woman is believed to say in the presence of her husband, Niskarash or Gershtani. Gemara rejects. Look, the Kuli Alma Islu de Rav Hamnuna. Everybody agrees that a woman is believed to say in the presence of a husband Gerishtan. Bahacha, in this case, when she says H's Isha Yisivin is Garashti, and then the Adam came, Bahacha Mifli. The machlokas, whether she has to be removed from her second husband, we bust up that marriage, is the Mar Summer, according to Rav Ovin, that the words of the Tana are on the safe of Shvuya, but not on the ratio of Gerushin. Savar Kietman Rav Hamnuna, that a woman is believed to say. Gerish Tani. That's only Befana. That's only the presence of the Baal. Because if she's making up this story and she's fabricating a lie and he did not give her a get, then that would be Ha'az's punit. Avol Shalo B'fanav. If she says Gerish, the Baali Gireshoti, and it's not in front of the presence of the Baal, it's in front of Bezdin, is Me'iza, she will have the chutzpah to lie and claim Niskarashti. It's no sweat for her to lie and fabricate the truth and just make up a whole story about Niskarashti. Maybe, a husband will hear about it. Doesn't matter. It wasn't Befana. So that's why in the Mishnah, she's not believed to say Niskarashti. If Adam come along and testify that she was an Ashes each, she doesn't have Pesha Asar. And she didn't say anything Chalob if they baila, Umar Sovereign Rav Oshia, who derives the Tanakama even, or applies the Tanakama even in the ratio of Gerish, and Savar, Shalob B'fanav Nami Adam Me'isa. All right. We'll try to figure out the end of this Gemara just to say that we finished at least an Amud. This is so complicated. The Mishnah says in Mishinises Bo Edim, after she got married by Edim, Lo Teitz. Omar Avua de Shmuel, Lo Nises Mams. Don't take the Mishnah literally at surface value. Elakevin Shetiru Ali Nase, Afal Pishalo Nises. As long as she got the license, the heter, the green light to get married, that's enough. Low Tates. So the Gemara asks on Shmuel, Avud the Shmuel, V'holo Tates Pani. I mean, how do you fit this into the words of the Mishnah? You're saying Lo Tates. In a case of Itiruli Nase, if it's Itiruli Nase, what do you mean Lo Teitze? My answer is Lo Teitze Me'atera Harishon. We gave her a heter, and that's where it's going to start. That's where the hatchet falls. Lim Nisei Lo Teitze. Ain omrim namtin achiyavo edim elamatir no somiyat. Where are your edim? We're not going to wait for their edim. We're going to rely on their word. They have edim. I'm thinking out loud that maybe because she's making this bold claim in front of Bezdin that she has Aiden, that's called a Milsa Avida Gluya. I mean, we're going to find out tomorrow that she has no Aiden. She better be telling the truth. And the Brisa adds, V'tirua linase, Bezdin allowed her to marry Cohen, and then the Edom came to Bezdin, and they're going to. The Amrullah Yadanu. Imagine, she's saying that the Edom are those who will testify that she's Tahora. These Edom, Reuben and Shimon. And they come into Bezdin, they deny the whole story. Lo Yadanu. Harezulo Teitze. So this brisa has to be understood. The very fact that she claims that she has aided to testify, again, a Shreya is not allowed to marry Cohen, but she claims she has aided that she's Tahora. Where are the aided? Matino Samiyad, where are the aided? And Itiruli Nase, Vyakapo Eidim. So she says she has Eidim. What do the Eidim have to say? What do they speak for themselves? The Amru Lo Yadanu, we don't know if she's Tahor. Once again, Arizal takes it. She can marry a Kohen. The Boe de Tuma. Now we have Edom that testify that she was Nivala Lagoy during the Shvuya period. Afilu Yeshla Kama Banim Teitze. And what's a Chiddush here? She gave birth to a number of children from this Kohen. Do you have any note on this? I can't figure this out. What are we talking about here? We're talking about, it doesn't look like we're talking about Mamzerus. I don't think. I don't know. This has to be. I can't go on now. It's just it needs much more analysis. Let's just make a note. I don't know when exactly we have to fill in the blanks here. I don't think I could do it today. Maybe tomorrow. So let's say we did 3/4 of an omelet. And how long did it take us? About 40 minutes. Okay, we'll need to the Shmai to, this is the part of Ksubas that you really have to study very carefully. All right, then have a great day.
Okay, thank you.